the singer couldn't think of lyrics for this one spot. He said, go pick out any book from the bookcase, open it to any random spot, and read the first thing you see. So first thing I saw was him talking about folic acid. Mm-hmm. I was like, folic acid, what is this?
Yeah.
He's saying it's in all the grains. I go check all my food boxes on the back, enriched flour, fortified flour. I'm like, let's see if he's right. So I cut it out.
There's a website that you can go and put in your zip code and tells you what's in your water.
EWG.org.
Yeah, first time I did that, I was like, wow. Okay.
Bro.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. I've looked into blue zones. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
So blue zones is like Japan is one, for example. And the way they eat, the way they live is because of that, right? They eat clean. They're always active. They're always doing something.
Oh man, I got more energy. My mind is clear. I've got more drive, more focus, more love, more happiness.
It's like it gives you more to give to the world.
Hello and welcome to the Harmonized Podcast, where we learn about the interconnectedness of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Today we're joined by Jude Smith, and we're going to discuss MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, fitness, health and wellness, nature, art, and family. And if you get some value from this podcast, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and share this with others to help us reach a larger audience. But without further ado, Jude Smith, welcome, brother. It's nice to have you here.
It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to diving into this stuff because
sir.
You're one of the few like-minded individuals that I know in this area when it comes to health and wellness and fasting, getting all these natural remedies and making your own deodorant type stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, man.
Yeah, so looking forward to getting into all that. But why don't we start with MMA and Jiu-Jitsu? That's how we met. We met at Zia here in town.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, what got you into MMA?
Yeah, man. Well, growing up, I was never in any sports or anything like that. So, but I always wanted it. I always kind of looked at my friends that were in sports and teams. It's like, dang, like I would like to do that. Never had that opportunity. The most I did when I became of age was just going to the gym, trying to build weight. I've always been kind of a smaller guy, so I was like, well, I'll just hit the gym and try and do that. But I kind of, didn't really enjoy it, that much. It was just I was just doing it, kind of just going through the motions. And a friend of mine kept telling me to come by Zia, come try it out. I kept pushing it off, like, okay, yeah, I'll try. Never really did. And tried a kickboxing class, and it was actually kind of in a transition. So they had a kickboxing instructor. He ended up leaving shortly after I had my first class. So literally just had the one class, and all they had was jiu-jitsu. I was like, I don't know if I really want to roll around with people. I kind of was like
Roll around with dudes.
Yeah, I don't want to be somebody sweaty on top of me, but the first class I tried, I never stopped.
Really?
Yeah, I just never looked back, and it's just grown since, They eventually were able to get some more striking. I was able to pick it up a little bit from them and bouncing around to other schools as well. So yeah, it's just kind of sprouted from there, man. I only did some jiu-jitsu competitions, and then was really trying to just get in the cage, and get to fighting. So maybe I had like a handful of jiu-jitsu competitions, did all right, and then had a smoker, so like a kickboxing smoker, just kind of get the feel of striking,
What is a smoker?
It's just like an exhibition.
Okay.
So, yeah, you go in, we have, shin pads, headgear, and all that. Doesn't officially go on your record, but like it is, you still had a fight.
You're going 100%.
Right. Yeah. You're going to try to take their head off.
Gotcha.
Right? So it was a cool experience. I loved it. But my goal was just to get that feel and then to transition to MMA, because that's my ultimate goal. So after that, I was transitioning to fight camp for MMA, making my debut. And then I actually tore my ACL. So in camp, I was just going for a single leg takedown. Some kind of bigger dude, and he was able to grab my leg and kind of crank it the wrong way. And as we were rolling down, pop, and couldn't really walk right. And I knew something was wrong, but that that man in me was just like, oh, you're fine, you know, just push through it. But I just kept making it worse. And I eventually got imaging and, yeah, completely torn ACL. I was training with it for about a year.
No way.
Which I probably shouldn't have been doing, but it was killing me because after the initial injury, I stayed at home for like a couple months, and it was just killing me.
Yeah.
You know, just having that lifestyle and then going to just chilling at home. Like, I like to chill sometimes, but not to that extent, you know?
Sure.
Seeing all my friends being active. So I was like, you know what? Well, I know my leg's messed up, but I can do something, right? I can work on my hands. I'm kick heavy in my approach, so I was like, well, I could just be better with my hands to be more well-rounded. So I've just stayed consistent with that, and then I eventually finally got surgery in March of this year. So now I'm on the road to recovery, actually, you know. Before it was just try not to re-injure it, right? So now it's actually getting better, getting stronger, and yeah, man, just trying to get back in that cage, you know. That's where I'm at.
That's beautiful, man. I mean, wish you the best of luck on your recovery journey. That's a battle. I've been through a few, but nothing that severe, so I can't imagine what you're going through mentally, physically.
Yeah, the mental thing is definitely one of the biggest, you know, especially when I wasn't able to walk, wasn't able to move. I was dealing with so much pain. It's like, is this really worth it? You know, do I really want to go down this? Do I really want to risk injuring it again? But the passion just overrides it all, you know. Knowing that I can be smart in it, then there is ways to do it without getting injured. I just gotta be smart in my approach in doing that, right? Not letting my ego get in the way, like, oh, I can do this, and then questioning it, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, if I question something, I'm just not gonna do it. Just take the safer route.
Gotcha. So where did that passion come from?
I feel like it just the martial arts just lit it, right? I've always kind of had that artistic flame. I'm a visual artist, so, you know, growing up, painted, draw. I actually went to an art high school, so that's what we specialized in. We didn't even have PE or nothing.
Really?
Yeah. So, the most that we had physically was like dance.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so I was just an artist, you know, and I had that inspiration to just be a better artist. But after high school, I kind of just lost motivation, just wasn't there as much. You know, I would still draw and paint every so often, but that flame just didn't feel like it was lit. But I knew that I still wanted to create and do something, but I was just kind of like in a limbo. And that's when I was like going to the gym and stuff. But then once I found martial arts, it was like, wow, this is a whole different art form, right? This is just something that you can learn so much from. It's like, it's never ending. You see people fighting for 20 years and they're still learning things, you know? So I just been immersed by the experience, you know, and the growth that it gives me, not only in fighting, but in life, right?
How so?
Like in jiu-jitsu, you're under pressure a lot, right? You're getting smashed in uncomfortable positions.
Yep.
And it helps you to prepare for uncomfortable positions in real life too.
No doubt.
So just how much it translates to your other aspects of life, it really only increases that flame inside, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. I definitely have a similar passion. I don't think it's as strong as yours, but same as you. My first jiu-jitsu class, I fell in love day one.
Yeah.
And man, it's been an addiction since.
Yeah. No, it really is. Yeah.
But yeah, just like you say, there's the endless learning and developing yourself, developing your skills, developing your art. Because at the end of the day, you're right. It is an art. It's a martial art.
Yeah.
Because there's all these techniques and skills, but each person can develop their own style and the way they combine these skills to create their art.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful. Just like somebody can have a certain stroke of a brush, it's the same thing with fighting, you know. And it's cool to be able to see the differences, and then now developing my style of feeling that, you know. So it's really cool.
Beautiful. So you said you're a visual artist.
Yes, sir.
When did you realize that?
I would say it really started to develop more in like middle school.
Okay.
I started out just kind of drawing, like I was just like copying, I guess. like other like little faces, or like I really like clowns, so I would always redraw clowns. And then I eventually would try to start making them my own, right? Instead of just recreating that, I didn't really find much fun in it, so started to make it my own. But the biggest thing that kind of exploded me in my visual arts was going into the art high school that I had did. They came to my middle school and had like a presentation and stuff, and I always felt like what I was doing was like cool or whatever, but I never really thought of it being that serious until they came and showed like what you can do with art, right?
Yeah.
So it just really hooked me in, and once I started, it was like that's all I knew, you know. And there's so many different art styles, and you know, different colors to put together. There's so much to it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think one of the bigger things that really helped to give me so much inspiration was just being surrounded by it, right? I only had a school of like 200 people, but they were all artists in some form or another. So you just being around that, seeing people creating and trying to one up what they had did before, it only increases your inspiration to do that for yourself.
That's beautiful.
So it's the same thing with fighting, you know what I mean? Like you seeing other people have that drive, that hunger. It's like, oh, I got that too. You know?
Where'd you go to high school?
Alma de Arte.
Where is that?
It's actually on Court, by
It's
the
here
Sun
in town?
News. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, by the
I've never
Sun
heard
News.
of
Yeah, most people don't. Like my graduating class was like 30 people.
Okay.
You know, so
That's cool, man.
But with that, you have that like time and attention that you wouldn't in a public school.
Yeah.
You know, and that was also one of the reasons I went to Alma, because I knew I would have that, and I wouldn't have all these distractions, all these people where I could get in trouble. Like I know a lot of people, you know, and it's cruises. So, you know, I feel like I was bound to run into something, maybe get in trouble. But going to Alma, I had a focus. I had a reason for it, you know.
Nice. Yeah, because regular school is monotonous. Like,
yeah, man, it's like,
it's a
what
joke.
are you there for?
Yeah.
You know, I don't agree with public school. So
I don't either.
I'm glad that I was able to get somewhat of a different experience with my high school, you know.
Awesome.
Obviously, even though it's a charter school, it's still kind of public school to an extent, but it's still different. And that helped to mold me into who I am today.
That's sweet, man. Yeah, no, I have so much respect for artists, because I consider myself an artist in some ways. But I'm more of the systematic approach. Like I can learn a style and then copy it.
Yeah.
Where you seem like more of a creative type. And my brother's like that. We're totally different. And I'm more the systematic approach. I can learn these processes and apply them, where you guys are just creative and you're pulling these new ideas out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's so awesome, bro. Like, where does your creativity come from?
I think it's probably just runs in my blood. My mom's an artist, a visual artist as well. My grandpa, great visual artist. My uncle, he was also one of the inspirations for me to go to Alma. He had actually went to Alma as well, but wasn't able to finish. He chose a different route in life. So, you know, was an artist, but was also in the gang life, you know, and they don't have any tolerance for violence or anything. Fortunately, something happened, wasn't able to finish. So I was like, dang, like, I'm an artist and I could improve my art, but I could also do something that he couldn't do, you know. And I was so close to my uncle, so it definitely gave me that extra push, you know.
Yeah. So how do you what helps you tap into that creativity better? Because I'm sure there's times where it's just flowing and coming out, and then other times where it's kind of like a brick wall.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with that kind of comes along with having different styles.
Okay.
You know, so I like to do graffiti art, right? So I have to have like a certain mindset and a certain like energy to do that, because it is so technical, so precise. I'm a perfectionist too, so it has to be like crisp, and you know. But I don't always have the energy for that mentally, you know. So in those moments, that's where I found going to like something like abstract helps take me out of that, because there's not like a specific image you're trying to create. It's just you're creating, and whatever images come from that can come from that.
Beautiful.
So, like I like to create an image where I see certain things, but if somebody else sees 5 other things, then that's great.
Yeah.
Then that's the part of the process. You know what I mean? That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
It reminds me of this book called The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
Yeah, he got famous for working with artists in music, and they would bring him in when they needed like a creative director, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And he would help them, give them ideas for their songs and like come up with these new parts. Like one of his famous ones was with System of a Down. The singer couldn't think of lyrics for this one spot. He said, go pick out any book from the bookcase, open it to any random spot, and read the first thing you see. And that ended up being the bridge on the song Chop Suey.
Really?
Yeah, which is like one of the most epic parts of the song.
Yeah.
And he says he just got it from a random book, first thing he opened to, boom. But he was just known for stuff like that. Like he could help people come up with stuff on the spot. Mm-hmm. In his book, one of the things he said is, the best art is whenever you create it for you.
Yeah.
When you create what you want. And he's like, who cares what anyone else thinks? Like, if you're trying to make it for someone else, it ruins the art. Mm-hmm. But whenever you're trying to make it for you, that's when the true art shines.
Exactly.
And I feel like you kind of said that there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going along kind of on that tip, it's like when an artist does like commission work, right? It can kind of be boring sometimes if you're just creating somebody else's image. But that's why it's like you have to make that known. Like I'm not gonna create that specific exact image. I'm gonna make it my own, because then you are bringing your own passion into it.
Putting your heart into it.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't, then you're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And then you're not really gonna get much feeling from it.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. So the art evolved into MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, and then MMA.
Yeah.
And now I know you're also into fitness and the healthy lifestyle. Did that come before or after MMA?
It's honestly, it was all part of fighting.
Really?
In training, this was actually while I was doing jiu-jitsu competitions, I realized the lifestyle that I had outside of fighting wasn't helpful for my progress, right? And one of the big things that helped me to like one of the deciding factors, I guess, was I think it was the last jiu-jitsu competition I had, I believe. It was Desert Jiu-Jitsu, and this was a couple years back. I was doing really good, and I was on my last match, so I would have either gotten gold or silver for that. And it was a 10th Planet guy. I always feel like I kind of have like an itch to beat a 10th Planet person, their style is just, I don't know if you've experienced 10th Planet.
It's creative.
But yeah, they're very creative and they're very pressuring, you know. So, coming from Zia, I wanted to represent Zia the most that I could and beat somebody from 10th Planet, especially seeing the run that he was on. He was doing well. So I was like, okay, I was excited for this match. But before that match, I didn't have that big of a gap in between to like rest. I could have taken a little more, but I was like, you know what, I'm fine. So I jump in it, and it was super, super high pace. We're scrambling, but I was winning. I was doing better than he was, just enough, right? And as we're rolling, as we're getting into it, I just started getting that feeling that you don't really get much, but sometimes it comes, and I was like, I think I got to throw up. And I was like, please don't. And yeah, I had to jump off the mat and throw up, and they disqualified me for that. I lost basically. Thankfully, I got second, so it wasn't like that big, but it was big for me because I knew I was winning. And so after that, it was like, okay, why did you throw up?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing much outside of class, right? My eating wasn't really clean. I had drank the night before. I would drink every so often. Yeah. So it was like, okay, if I really want to take this seriously and I really want to do better, then I have to do more than just show up to class.
Yeah.
You know? So that's kind of where the shift started. It started just by taking out my drinking. So I stopped drinking. And then...
Is that what you correlated to the throwing up?
Yeah, I felt like it was for sure. Because before that, I had maybe thrown up in class, like maybe once.
Yeah.
And it was going super hard, you know. But I felt like I could have done better, you know, if I hadn't drank the night before, if I had been doing more, right?
Oh, for sure.
So once I cut that out, I did see that I had more energy. I wasn't so, like, you know, lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
I had more of a drive to train. And then from there, it kind of, I was like, okay, well, now I'm not drinking, but what else could I be doing, right? I was kind of having some health issues. So I was like, okay, obviously I have to do something else in my eating. And that just, once I kind of shifted my eating, it immersed me in this whole health and wellness journey, and just realizing how much we're surrounded with that is poisoning us,
bro,
and that is just hindering our growth.
Yeah.
Spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally,
you
know, in every way you can think. And I never thought of it that serious, you know. I always thought, oh, if you're depressed, you're sad, or you're lazy, it's just you. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that is a big part. But your environment, what you're putting in your body, all that matters so much. And I never realized it until I made that change. And it's just so powerful. And I can't imagine myself going back.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't realize what you're feeling because it's just normal. But once you make these lifestyle adjustments, fix up your diet, cut out the drinking, and you feel this higher version of yourself, it's like, whoa, what was I doing before? It's like, man, like you said, there ain't no going back.
No, exactly.
Wow. Are you comfortable talking about the health issues that you went through?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just a lot of digestive problems.
Okay.
It would put me out, like sometimes days at a time. I'd be, you know, in the bathroom, struggling to even use the bathroom sometimes, or, you know, having crazy heartburn, like little things like that, you know. The bathroom was the biggest part, you know, especially it would get to the point where it was like uncomfortable to even like walk around, much less train. So I was like, okay, this is really not good, you know.
Yeah. And you said little things like that because that's what it feels like when you're going through it. It's like, it's just something I'm dealing with. But like you said, once you get past it, it's not just a little thing, man. Yeah. You don't realize how much that is affecting you physically, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah, man.
Just your gut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything starts in your gut, you know. And I never really thought that it was that serious, you know. Especially growing up, you know, eating Mexican food all the time. It's like, it's fine, you know, it's great. It tastes good.
Yep.
But it's bigger than that, you know.
Yeah.
And once you really start to immerse yourself in that and actually start to learn what we're even putting in ourselves, is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You know. So so now it's literally like, I'm not gonna buy anything without reading what's in it, or, you know, I'm not gonna just put something in my body, on my body, without thinking about what it could do. Is it gonna benefit me or is it gonna hurt me? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, bro. And man, I had a very similar journey. Just drinking alcohol, eating the junk food, you know, piles of ice cream, lots of grains, you know.
Yeah.
And man, I thought I was healthy. Yeah. I'm like, man, I'm in good shape. I got a 6-pack.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not fat.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know.
Yeah. So I'm healthy. I eat good.
Yeah.
But man, once I actually heard about it on the internet from Gary Brecka. Have you heard of Gary Brecka? Yeah.
Yes, I watch him a lot.
So first thing I saw was him talking about folic acid. Mm-hmm. I was like, folic acid? What is this?
Yeah.
He's saying it's in all the grains. I go check all my food boxes on the back, enriched flour, fortified flour. I'm like, he's saying this is folic acid. This is anti-digestion and gives people all kinds of other issues.
Yep.
I was like, let's see if he's right. So I cut it out. Cut out all the grains. I lost 10 pounds that I didn't know I had to lose, bro. Like I said, I was already in good shape, training jiu-jitsu, lifting weights. 10 pounds just deleted. I was like, whoa.
Yep.
That's weird. And then I realized my energy levels are up. My brain fog is gone just from cutting out the grains.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, how much more am I missing? So there's these other guys that helped guide me in the right direction. The Belmar brothers, shout out to them, Luke and Nate Belmar. They started talking about what's in your water, your tap water, this and that. And then the personal care products, the Gatorades, everything, bro. There's just stuff in everything.
It's
yeah.
so crazy.
So I had to like rehaul all my products, bro. Like, and I went through stages, like getting the Brita filter.
Yeah, it takes time, man. It's not an easy transition.
No.
Yeah,
it takes a long time. Like, because also I'm hearing it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds bad, but I can wait a little while on that one.
How bad is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So start with the Brita filter, then come to find out that doesn't do shit. So then it's like, okay, I need a reverse osmosis filter, but that's $350. Like, so yeah, just weighing things out. But water, man, it's so important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What was your journey with water?
So my journey with water kind of started with as I was just learning more, finding guys like Gary Brecka, Andrew Huberman, just other health and wellness podcasters, people, and what really started the water was actually a friend of mine. I don't know if you heard of the Kangen water machines.
No.
So also very expensive, but it's an alkaline water. It has like a pH of, I can't remember what's good for us, but I think it's like 9.4 or something, but it's like a living water. So like you even like see like little like bubbles in it, and it's very scientific. I'm not too well versed on it, but she kind of started me in that, and just thinking about my water, I never really thought much about it.
Yeah.
Growing up drinking out of the water hose, whatever, it's water. Is water. But that just made me start to look more into it and realize how much we have in our water, and that it's actually like information we all could have, right? There's like I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but there's a website that you can go and put in your zip code and tells you what's in your water.
EWG.org.
Yeah. First time I did that, I was like, wow, okay.
Bro.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. But I couldn't afford the Kangen, so I would just do, just bottled water here and there. I could, but that's not really good either, because then it's also the packaging and the water itself. It's not that great.
No.
So now I just get Spring Valley delivered to my house in a glass 5-gallon jug.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mountain Valley?
Yeah, Mountain Valley. Yeah, Mountain Valley. My bad. Yeah, and it's only like.
How much is that?
It's only like $32 a month, I think.
What?
Yeah.
For a 5-gallon?
Yeah, and you get. I think it's every 2 weeks. I probably need to increase it, because now I have more people in my house. The water be going a lot faster.
Yeah.
When it was just me, it would stretch it out. But yeah. It's really not that much, bro.
Do you have to pay for shipping?
No, they pull up to your house.
Bro, you're gonna have to hook me up.
I think the first one you pay a little bit more, and then
for the jug.
But then after that, it's just
that's crazy.
The monthly subscription.
I looked into it, but it was like another $30 to ship it. But I need to figure out what plan you're on, bro.
Yeah, I'll send you the information.
Because right now I buy the 12 packs of the 1 liter bottles.
Oh, okay.
But it's $36. So that's a way better deal.
Yeah, and then you have all the bottles too.
Yep.
And that was one thing for me, is I wanted to get rid of clutter. Before that, it's like, almost everybody collects water bottles in some way or some fashion, and it's just cluttering, and it's just stuff that I don't need, right? I could just get a water little fucking station and put my gallon jug, and that's it.
That's
just
cool,
use my
man.
cup,
That's cool, because I also have the reverse osmosis filter, but I prefer the spring water, man.
Yeah.
Because the reverse osmosis filter removes everything. So including the good minerals and whatnot, which I remineralize with sea salt, but
that's good.
But still, The spring water tastes better.
Yeah, no, it really does. Yeah, and that was something else I learned along the way was the sea salt, right? To help it, right? One thing my girlfriend says is I always put too much. She's like, "You like your water to taste like the ocean." Sometimes I do be putting a little too much, but it tastes good, and I know it's only helping my body to retain that moisture or that hydration, rather.
Yep.
Yeah,
the best description I heard is when you take the sea salt, it helps the molecules in your body absorb the water instead of it just going through you and you peeing it out.
Yeah.
Your cells absorb it.
Yep. And that was the first thing that really made me notice that was when I did make that shift, I wasn't peeing as much.
Yeah, same.
It's like my body was actually retaining it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that you could see the change right then and there. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
But there was something else you're talking about with that filter, and you're talking about live water.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that as well. I haven't done in-depth research on it, but I think I've seen some studies where they'll take like water from like Liquid Death or something and then some live water. I don't remember how they made it live water, but they freeze it and then you look at the crystals and the structure is like completely different.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's crazy. And the girl that had introduced it to me, she was having some very serious health problems of her own. And just the shift in drinking that water completely took it away.
Wow.
Made her a whole different person.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's definitely, it's out there, you just got to do your own research and have the money for it, but definitely something worth looking into.
What do you say to those guys that say, hey, we're all going to die someday?
How are you going to die and when? My thing is, especially now having a family, I want to be able to grow up with them, but still be able to do things with them, right? I don't want to be 40, 50 and can't run like most people can't.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised how many can't even run around the corner.
Exactly.
I want to be able to run around the corner and sprint around the corner if I need,
Yeah.
I want to be able to carry you, do everything,
Have that energy.
Yeah, exactly, right? And my fighting, right, it's only going to last so long, but once I'm done fighting, I just want to give back and coach. But you still have to be healthy to be able to do that, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just about longevity and how you're going to die, right?
Yeah.
I want to be healthy and happy and not be struggling to walk and struggling to do all these things that we should be able to do, you know?
Yeah, we're all going to die someday, but how do you want to live?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not just trying to survive. I'm trying to thrive.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. We want to be mobile when we're 80.
Exactly.
100.
And it's so possible. And that's, as I've been getting immersed in this, life, I see that is more of a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more and more people that are able to do that. I've looked into blue zones. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
So blue zones is areas of the world where there's a high rate of centenarians or something, people that live to be over 100.
Okay.
Like Japan is one, for example. And the way they eat, the way they live is because of that, right? They eat clean. They're always active. They're always doing something.
Yeah.
So when you want to have that longevity, look into the blue zones. Look at what they're doing and how they're living compared to us. Like the United States, far from that. We actually do have a blue zone, I think, in California.
Really?
It's this one, like, I can't remember the name of it, but a city over there, and they're super health conscious, super active. But
a hippie town,
area.
probably.
Exactly. Yeah, a little hippie town in Cali, so... but yeah, man, it's just possible. You just gotta know what you're doing.
What do you think are some of the main keys that these blue zones people are utilizing that's helping them live longer?
Activity.
Okay.
The family and like the community, the sense of community that they have.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, because it goes a long way. Like if you're alone all the time,
for sure,
you can enjoy it, but that's really not good for your health. Like humans are meant to communicate, to interact, to grow with each other.
Powerful.
So something that's common in all the blue zones is their sense of community.
Wow.
Right, and it's huge.
Okay. Physical activity, community.
Yeah, and then just what they're eating. What they're eating is clean, not processed.
Yeah.
They're catching it or doing how we're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
Not creating it in a lab, you know?
Yeah.
Like most of the food is.
Some Bill Gates meat.
Right. Yeah. Like it's crazy. You see some things contains a bioengineered food ingredient.
What does that mean?
Huh. So, yeah. And it's in like everything. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so I don't think I want to eat that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy the stuff that's out there, bro, in our food.
Yeah. And it's just, people just don't know about it.
For sure.
Like, I've definitely gotten better at talking to people about it, because when I first was getting into this kind of journey, it's like all I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't want to hear it.
That's true.
They don't know.
Don't care.
They're ignorant and they just don't care.
Yeah.
Right? So I've definitely dialed it back and just trying to just plant a seed.
Yeah.
Because that's all it took for me, you know, and I know that I'm going to catch somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? I can plant a seed. Maybe it won't grow here yet, but it could grow. Right? So,
yeah, you can't force it on someone.
no, and that's something I've learned, and it's really hard, especially like with my family.
Yeah,
you know,
same
like
here.
I'm like, I push it, but you can only push it so much if they don't want it. Just like something as simple as if you have an alcohol addiction, you're not going to stop unless you want to stop.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. How about your food journey? I feel like we can dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
I know you started realizing that a lot of your food's ultra processed. There's a lot of junk in here. So where did you start?
Man, it's been a slow process. I'm definitely still growing. You know, there's so much to learn.
For sure.
And I want to get more scientific with it, and you know, get more down to the details.
Yeah.
You know.
Dude, I get you there, because it gets me in trouble sometimes, because I trust my instincts and intuition, and I don't have the science to back it up. I'm like, it just makes sense, all right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, when I'm trying to have those conversations,
trust me, bro.
Like, well, why is it bad, or what, or this and that? It's like, do your research.
Yeah.
I did mine, you do yours. You know.
Yeah.
So, it just started trying to just be more vigilant. You know, just starting to read the labels more.
Yes.
Know what's going in my body.
Understand the labels.
And getting rid of the thing that I loved the most, unfortunately, which, you know, heavy, greasy Mexican food. That's what I grew up on, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it kind of just shifted from that. I kind of went on a mostly plant-based for quite a while.
Okay.
So just whatever's things that I know, right? So if I'm looking on a label and it's things that I know that are clear as day, not like sodium, calcite, fluoride, or, you know, just the crazy things that are in there. It's like, if I don't know what that is, I probably shouldn't eat it. And most of the time when I would do that research, it's mostly terrible things, you know? So it really just started just trying to have simple ingredients, you know, just looking for simple ingredients, a few ingredients here and there. And just building off of that. So, but with the plant-based, it was hard because, you know, that's no meat, no dairy, you know, things like that. So it's quite difficult, but it gave me like a different outlook on food, and it made me think deeper about it. And like, okay, I can't eat meat. What can I eat that's like meat? What can I make that can recreate that, right? So that was a kind of big like transition for me, was finding those alternatives. Like one of my favorite as a meat alternative, like ground meat, would be walnuts.
Okay.
So you don't just soak the walnuts, grind them up, and season them, and it's just like ground meat, honestly.
Really?
Like if I make tacos, or, you know, just whatever you would put ground meat in, same thing, man.
Huh.
Cashews. I mean, nuts is probably the bigger one. But another one would be like mushrooms. So for a chicken alternative, I would use mushrooms. One of my favorites is enoki. Okay. So you get enoki mushrooms, batter them, fry them. It's like fried chicken. Obviously, you're gonna see some little differences here and there, especially if you're a real good meat eater. You know, that's all you eat. But it's good to know, and it's good to experiment with. You know,
absolutely.
I was pretty much heavily plant-based for quite a while. Now I kind of go a little, I would say maybe like 80-20. So, 80% mostly plant-based, 20% other things, but still whole food. So if I do get meat, grass-fed, pasture-raised, eggs, pasture-raised, looking at how they're slaughtered or how it got to me. And that was something else I learned on my journey, right? Is you're taking the energy in of what you're eating, right?
Absolutely.
So if you eat something that was tortured, that energy is going into you,
Yeah.
And
a chicken that had walking space of 0 inches.
Yeah, and you don't even think about that, right? I mean, at first I thought if I see organic or I see cage-free, oh, okay, that's cool. That's healthy. But you really got to look into it more, because cage-free, they're not in a cage, but they're still in an enclosed space. They're still being fed certain things, right? So,
yeah, and that's one of the ones that a lot of like the health gurus and gym bros are like chicken and rice.
Yeah.
But they're not talking about what chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And really, to get good chicken is pricey.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, that's been one of the biggest things for sure. And then when I do talk to people about being healthier, oh, I can't afford that, this and that. It is expensive. It's not the most affordable. It can be in some situations, but overall, it definitely is a transition to make. But it's a transition you can make.
Yeah. But if you take into account all your eating out and DoorDash, all that, it evens out.
No,
and I think
for sure,
I think Whole Foods can even be cheaper.
Yeah. No, it really can. And that's something I realized too with eating out, drinking, right? I was like, okay, it is more expensive to get these few items. But before, I would maybe get these items that are cheaper, but then I would also, go out to fast food, or I would
hit the
easily
bar,
spend a lot at the bar, and then
rack up $100
you look the
tab.
next day, it's like, oh,
Easy.
So it's all about where you're spending your money and the sacrifices that you're making.
The intention.
Yep.
Beautiful. So what sparked you to bring meats back?
Just looking more into it and wanting that is there's something about that primal feeling, of eating meat, and knowing that there still is benefits when it is eaten right and when it is prepared right, in the right ways.
Harvested right.
Exactly. And in the right portions too, so everything is good, not everything, but a lot of things are good in moderation, So that was something else I had kind of learned, is if I'm just going to be super heavy on meat, my body's probably not going to agree the most, right? Something as simple as steak, your body takes a lot to digest it, and that's something I think about, so I don't want to struggle digesting it for so long. So just kind of having that balance,
for sure,
and indulge.
No doubt. Yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it, and I have respect for vegetarians and vegans because you're making intentional choices with the food that you're putting in your body, and you're doing the research. I don't think there's one right way to do it for everyone. Everyone's different. You got to figure out what works best for you.
Exactly.
But regardless, I think Whole Foods is the way to go. I mean, this ultra-processed garbage is killing us.
Yeah.
The number one cause of death in America is metabolic dysfunction, which is coming from our food.
Yep.
It's leading to heart disease, heart attacks, diabetes, and everything in between. So, you can be vegetarian, you can be vegan, you can be carnivore. All of them. There's different, but I say experiment with it.
Yeah, see what works for you.
Yeah.
And that's where it's been, just kind of feeling what's right for me, and giving myself grace when I'm not sure, or when I do want to make that decision. Like when I was first transitioning from plant-based to going back to eating a little bit of meat here and there, or when I would just cheat and have like a heavy, greasy meal. It's like, treat yourself with grace, because you are making those intentions. You are still going down a difficult journey, and it's okay to give yourself that little, wiggle room.
That's a good point, because it can also become part of your identity. like I'm a vegetarian or I'm animal based, whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. At first it was like, yeah, no, I'm just plant based, but then it was like, it does create a different type of pressure, you know. So, and that's when I started learning about you not just being strictly on one, the 80-20 or 60-40. There's different types of plans, I guess you can call it. Ratios, yeah, that's better. And just find what works for you. I think that works good for me because I still have my little bit of indulgence, but it's still good for me. It's not hurting me.
Yeah. Which brings this question: do you think it's possible to make healthy Mexican food?
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
it is.
For sure. It all depends on what you're using. The oils.
Yes.
I mean, you're big on oils too. It's like, what oils are you using? And how harmful is that going to be to your body?
Yep. And a lot of these restaurants, they're using the cheapest, most affordable option to increase their dollar at the end of the day.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Like before vegetable oil was even a thing, which is pretty crazy the way it's even made and stuff, But before that, it's like we're using like tallow and like coconut oil, olive oil, like good oils.
Yep.
And now there's all these other,
canola,
bad oils,
vegetable,
canola oil, rapeseed oil. It's like it's crazy.
Rapeseed, bro. It's in the name.
Yeah,
it's raping
right?
you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god. And it's crazy too because even in that though, like even in the health food industry, they subliminally put those oils in, right? This is a health food, but it's made with canola oil.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's like, oh, okay.
High protein.
Yeah.
Then you flip over the ingredients.
Yep.
First ingredient, canola oil. Yeah. And they'll even cut like avocado oils or olive oil. Sometimes they'll sneak seed oils in and mix it in those too.
Yep.
So it comes back to checking your labels, understanding them, and knowing what to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, man, it's been a journey for me, but seeing how I feel and the way it's changed my body and my mind and my spirit, bro, there ain't no going back, dude.
Yeah, it's unmatched.
It's unmatched, bro. Just, I said it earlier, but it sounds cheesy, but I feel like a heightened level version of myself.
Yeah,
compared to before.
It's all about raising your vibration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that can come from so many things. Changing the way you eat, changing the habits that you have, the things you watch, the things you listen to, the words you say. All of that is only going to help to either raise your vibration or lower it.
Totally.
And you feel that when you're with somebody that has that high vibration or has that drive for it.
Totally.
It's like it's an attracting energy.
Absolutely.
And on the opposite side, it's kind of like you don't want to really be around it, And I've noticed that when I'm around people that aren't as like-minded, I, kind of like tend to shy away,
Yeah. Lower vibrational frequencies, man.
Yeah.
And you become aware of it where you didn't even realize it before. It's like you just doing the stuff, just going out with the boys, having some drinks, which, don't get me wrong, there's some good in that.
Yeah.
You need some quality time with the boys, but
for sure,
there's levels to it. I can't do the binge drinking anymore. I'll have an old fashioned or a glass of wine here and there with the boys, but
see, and I'm okay with that too, and I feel like that's how it should be.
Yeah,
is a special occasion, occasional thing,
a celebration,
right? Not like, oh,
it's Thursday,
I had a long week, weekend's here again, let's drink,
Yeah.
And I remember that's what it was, and I wouldn't even wait for the weekend. You know? So,
plastered Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
maybe
Sunday too.
Let me drink more to fix that. It's
exactly.
Like, you're putting yourself in a never-ending cycle at that point.
Yeah. And you just don't realize how much you're hurting yourself, man, until you clean things up and cut those toxins out, and then you feel the energy that you have. And for me, man, I love my Saturdays now, bro.
Yeah.
Before I used to be hungover, Saturday morning in pain, head throbbing, like sleeping till 12, you lose half your day.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, I got a whole day Like, what do I want to do?
Yeah, that's a big one, man. Is the time that you have, you know, it's what is that time put in, if you even have the time. Yeah, when I drank a lot, yeah, I was sleeping a lot or just in bed, and now it's like every day I'm up 6-7 in the morning, and it's like, wow, I have so much day, you know, like I have so much time to do things.
And time is precious, man.
Yeah, it really is. And so, you know, going along that longevity thing too, it's like what you're doing now is going to help you feel better if you're doing good things, right? But I'm also thinking about that down the road. How much easier is it going to make things then? If I was on the opposite side and I was still drinking, doing these things, it may affect me to a certain extent now, and that's what a lot of people say. It's like, oh, I'm fine now, or whatever. Okay, but how is it going to affect you later?
Exactly.
Know? Something as simple as drinking, something as simple as eating, you know, heavy food. You may not feel it now. You may be good for a while. You're a strong, healthy body, but it's only going to be able to fight it for so long.
Yeah,
you know,
it compounds.
Yeah,
the good and the bad. Yeah, that bad habits, they stack up until you reach a tipping point.
Yeah.
Or the good habits, they're compounding and you're starting to feel these benefits in multiple areas of your life. It's like, oh man, I got more energy. My mind is clear. I've got more drive, more focus, more love, more happiness. Like,
it's like it gives you more to give to the world.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like before I had things to give to the world, but I felt like it was so enclosed and it wasn't really able to like come out, you know. Like there's a reference, it's I don't know the name of him, but I think it's from Looney Tunes. He's like in the cage, like always shaking in the cage trying to get out. Once they let him out, he goes all crazy. I don't know if maybe it's Taz.
Okay.
And I kind of felt like that, you know, like I had that, I was trying to get out, and now I feel like I am out and I'm able to give, you know.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. You mentioned it earlier with the vibrational frequencies, your environment. How crucial is your environment?
It's big, man. It's big. You know, I don't really have much friends now, you know, or like people that I really like consistently talk to. Like I have people I still consider my friend, but, or like, you know, I care about them, but they're not in my life, and for a reason, you know. Because that also is part of your environment, you know what I mean? So it's like if I do want to be around them, I definitely limit it, because I know it's just hindering me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a big one. My house, plants all over the place, you know, that's a big thing, you know, just immersing me in the nature that we should be in, you know. That was a big one that I started along this journey, was just, you know, starting to get plants. I probably got like 80 in my house now.
Really?
Yeah. And I got a garden in the back.
Nice.
So
it's life.
Yeah, it really is.
In your home.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it gives you more things to look forward to and things to even want to look forward to. Like even if you don't know something, you want to know it when you have this open mind and this high vibrational frequency, you know what I mean? It's like before, you're just doing the same things, right? Or I'm drinking, or I'm eating tacos. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing that, and not really look much outside of that. But when you don't have that, there's so much else to look outside.
So much else. Yeah, man. It sounds cheesy, but you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want to do.
You're the only one stopping you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's far too often we fall into our habits and our addictions, and there's no time for anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's making that shift from having a bad addiction or a bad vice to a good one. You know what I mean? And because you can still have something that you quote unquote run to, or you have to kind of help you take you out of a certain place in life, but it could still be a good thing.
Jiu-Jitsu.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Jiu-Jitsu, you know, reading a book, you know, it's just little things, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been loving this so far. Loving it.
Yeah.
Loving it.
It's been a beautiful journey. And so, I mean, piggybacking off of the food, and, you know, I'm growing my own garden. Yeah. So, obviously a big goal for me is to not have to rely on the government, on these stores, to be able to provide for myself, right? Beautiful. So I want to be able to start doing that on my own, you know. So I've had my garden. This is my second season.
Nice.
More successful than last for sure, and I'm only looking forward to keeping that going, right? Because the ultimate goal for me is to have a piece of land, to have a homestead, to be able to grow my own food, have animals to where I don't need to rely on somebody else's, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just in the beginning stages of that, you know.
That's
I'm looking to
beautiful,
get some chickens hopefully soon.
Heck yeah.
That's the next kind of step for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
So what are you growing in your garden?
I got a lot growing right now, man.
You got 80 plants inside.
Yeah,
What you
I
got
know,
outside?
right? Yeah, so outside right now I got some hami melons.
Hami melons.
Hami melons.
Never heard of those.
Yeah, you don't. First time I seen them was at Natural Grocers.
Okay.
And I had gotten some like a seed vault kit from TikTok.
Okay.
Came in with like literally thousands of seeds, so it was actually really cool. And I think I only paid like $20 or something.
Nice.
Good, you know, organic heirloom seeds. So the hami melon, I got cantaloupe, I have watermelon, I got some beets, radish. My strawberries and blueberries, I did. Well, they're still there, but they're not fruiting anymore. I already ate everything that grew. So,
Nice.
but that was nice. That was because last season I didn't have strawberries or blueberries, but this season I did, so that was nice.
Hey. How big did your blueberry bushes get?
Not very big, man. It's like maybe about this tall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
That's
too
pretty
big,
good.
but you know, decent little size. The strawberry one's pretty small. I only got like 4 or 5 strawberries off of it. But yeah, and then I got some pumpkin, some lettuce, kale, and
Squash?
actually I didn't plant. I don't think I planted squash this year. I did last year, and I had quite a bit, but I didn't plant any this year. Some things I did plant and I haven't had success with, unfortunately, was my tomatoes and cucumbers and my zucchini. I haven't had luck with those ones this season.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's everything I'm growing. And then the difference with this season is I planted a lot of flowers, which I learned there's certain flowers that attract good insects and flowers that will repel other ones as well.
Really?
Yeah, so like marigold, sunflowers, those are a couple of really good ones to have just throughout your garden. So I'm really happy with how my garden's looking this year because of the flowers. You know, it's really adding some nice color.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you weren't expecting that you faced in the garden, or maybe you were expecting them?
It's really all it is just consistency, man. And I realized that last season when I wasn't being as consistent and showing it as much love as it could have, is when I found myself struggling the most. You know,
The time?
yeah, just the time. Like now I'm there watering it twice a day. Before I would do it once, and then sometimes I would even let that kind of get past me. But you can't do it out here because it is so hot.
Yeah.
Like even if I give a good water early in the rising, later on they're looking real wilted, you know. So that's why I have to go and water them again, you know. And that's something I realized last year. It's really just giving that time to it, you know, giving that love that you want it to give back to you, right?
Yeah.
So that's really the biggest thing for me.
How about fertilizer?
That's something I'm still learning. I haven't really done too much except like compost.
Okay.
So I want to get a compost bin, so I could just have like a steady amount of compost to just, you know, give to my plants. But so far what I've done is I'll just do a trench, or I'll dig a hole and then I'll put my compost in, and you know, your plants can help to soak up that nutrients as well. Aside from that, just do banana water.
Okay.
So soak some banana peels in water for like a day, few hours or whatever. Pour that, and then eggshells. I mean, that's really the extent of my fertilizer.
That's cool. Using stuff that you would normally throw away?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's something I'm been big on in life is, you know, one man's trash is another's treasure. You know, being an artist, that was something, you know, if I find a piece of wood on the street, I'll probably pick it up and I'm gonna go, try and make something cool out of it. Same thing with that. It's like, yeah, something that you may usually discard. Now you're putting it and it's giving back.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've seen some of those TikTok posts of the people like making gardens in the city and stuff. Yeah. Like, it's cool, bro, that they're getting resourceful with their stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's even they're expensive, but there's even these like indoor towers.
I've seen those.
Oh man, so cool.
So
cool, man. You can grow so much, but yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to. My garden was like, I didn't really spend anything on it. My fence, I got it from or I made it just from a bunch of pallets. Most of the time you can find pallets behind the dumpsters or stores.
Yeah.
So I just got some good, decent pallets, painted them, and made a little fence.
Nice.
Or a little gate, whatever.
That keeps the rabbits out?
My dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't have even done a fence if it wasn't for my dog, but I didn't want him going and eating it or pissing all over everything, which he still does right on the fence. So I have to make sure there's a good gap from the plants to the gate.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, so man, you mentioned it a couple times now, but family.
Yeah, man.
Real big on family.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of grew up in a tight, knit family. It was really just my immediate family, like me and my mom, my dad, my sister. I have two sisters, but I only really grew up with one. My other one was raised with my grandma. So, but that would be the only other place that we would really go to visit family was my grandma's. So it was really just back and forth with them. Didn't really have much interaction with my extended family except like Christmas, that would really be it. Yeah, man, it was pretty close, but my parents kind of had, their differences, and over time just wasn't working out. They ended up splitting after being with each other for like 14, 15 years. And that was really hard. Especially like growing up thinking like nothing can split up your parents and they're going to be together forever. And then, them splitting, and it wasn't like a good split either. It was like they really didn't like each other, and then once they split, they forced each other to kind of stay together for us, but that really only caused more difficulty, and in the end kind of just causing more trauma for all parties, especially when they actually split. I moved with my dad. My mom kind of felt like I was choosing him, and which is kind of crazy because I'm like, he's my dad. Like I'm not saying like, I don't want anything to do with you, I'm gonna go with him, but it's like I spent my time with you. I was with you most of my life. I was very sheltered by my mom, and so yeah, I want to go with my dad for a little bit. And it was only for like a couple years till I was 18, and then I was gone. Moved out with my girlfriend at the time, and I've been on my own since. But
you were around the age where you needed your dad, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was becoming a man, you know, trying to figure that out, So I feel like, it's only natural for me to want to be with my dad, you know. And my sister, she stayed with my mom, so we had that split as well. So yeah, man, I was just trying to figure out things, but I missed that, I missed my parents, I missed the family that we did have, We didn't do much together. We never traveled or anything, but we were always together. We were always, spending time watching TV or whatever, So when I didn't have that, it was like I had like that void, and haven't really felt like it was really filled since until recently. Because now I'm creating my own family. I'm expecting a baby girl end of August.
Congratulations, bro.
Thank you. So yeah, man, it's been a beautiful experience, having that along the way, and then my girlfriend, she has a daughter too, so I'm kind of getting some experience. So I'm not just, getting thrown to the wolves, so to speak. I'm getting some sort of experience. She's 3, so dealing with the toddler years, which is something I'm gonna deal with my daughter eventually. So getting that little bit of experience.
That's a great point, because you do get thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
There's no rule book on how to be a dad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, like when people become parents, they really are just like, here's your kid, like figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like there's
Literally.
there is classes here and there, but even that, it's like, come on, you know, like
Yeah.
you're not really getting shown what to do. You're not really, the resources aren't really there, you
Yeah.
know. It's just like, figure it out.
Yep.
You know. So now I'm thankful I can figure it out somewhat before actually having to figure it out with mine, you know.
That's awesome.
So yeah, man, it's I'm just excited, and also to be able to live the life that I've been living and give that to my family, you know.
Yeah.
Living that healthy lifestyle, that was something I struggled with kind of with my ex, was that we weren't on that same plane of, or that same journey rather, you know, of wanting to be healthier. My girlfriend now, we do share those interests. We do have that in common, you know.
That's good.
And that goes a long way, because that's something I was stressing about getting into this kind of lifestyle was, okay, I'm struggling, or I'm kind of having my uphill battles or my difficulties with myself. I can't imagine how difficult it'll be giving that to my kids, especially if the girl that I'm having kids with doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that we have that similar mindset.
That's awesome, man.
Because they're more sensitive than we are, you know. So if I'm critical on how I'm living, I'm going to be that much more critical on how my kid is living.
Absolutely.
You know.
And there's something to that too, bro. I've looked into it as well, as like the state of mind and body and spirit that you're in, and your partner, whenever your baby's conceived, affects your baby.
Yeah.
So if you're on a different frequency, that's going to affect your child.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always think of like how it would have been if I was immersed in these things earlier in life.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it would have been, I would have been that much farther. So if I can catch my kids when they're, you know, out the womb and already, you know, creating those habits,
yes,
it's going to be that much better for them.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And what they see, they're going to do. So if I'm doing these good things, if I'm doing these things that are going to make me feel good, that are going to benefit me and the family, then they're going to want to do that too.
Exactly.
You know,
if you don't ever give them sugar, they're never going to crave sugar.
Exactly. Exactly, man.
But if you give them a lollipop right out the womb,
yeah,
they're going to be addicted to candy.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, I'm trying not to be too critical and like want to just shelter my kid.
Yeah.
You know, because I also understand we are going to need help.
For sure.
You know, and I'm thankful my girlfriend, she has a family that also is very supportive. But so it's like with that, I'm like, do I want
that's
grandma
tough.
to watch my daughter? Because what if she gives her some popsicles, or what if she has her watch like Cocomelon or something that I don't want them to be around, you know? But it's like, you could still have that help. And my girlfriend was telling me, like, if you want that, we just have to provide those options for them, right? I don't want you to feed my kid this, so this is what I want you to feed them. Here it is.
There you go.
Right? And not like figure it out on your own. Because if you do that, they're not going to do it.
No,
they're not going to respect your wishes.
And it's not their job to do that either.
Exactly. Right? So that's something I'm kind of trying to navigate through, you know, is like, okay, I obviously understand we're going to need help, but how are we going to accept that help?
That's a great point. And from my experience, I have a son as well. I've talked about it before, but he's 11 now. Well, early on, I was 15 when he was conceived. I was 16 when he was born, so we needed a lot of help. Mm-hmm. And thank God both of our parents helped a ton. But with that, I wasn't healthy back then. I didn't care about what went into my body, this and that. Right. So I didn't care as much about my son. Well, when he was staying with grandparents and whatnot, he got whatever he wanted. Mm-hmm. And we still struggle to this day on his sugar addiction.
Yeah, you really build those habits, and it's hard to get shifted out of it when that's all you know. Yeah. Especially at that age, you know, you're not really able to think much else.
Exactly.
You know, so if that's all you have to think, then that's all you're going to continue to think. Yeah. And vice versa. If it's healthy, you're just going to continue down that.
Exactly. No, bro, you're going to be a great dad. I can already tell.
Thank you.
Your intentions are there, and that's going to make the world of a difference. Just the fact that you care, and that's going to pour. The energy that we're talking about that you've created, it's definitely going to pour into your kids, man.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I can't wait to see the kids you raise, bro.
Thank you, man. Me too, man. Me too.
It's truly one of the greatest blessings.
Yeah, I'm excited to just take that next step, you know. And I felt like I was kind of in a lingo for a while of like, am I ready to make that step? Where am I at? Especially, I'm not like old, you know, but like I just turned 29, so. You know, before finding out about me having a kid, I was kind of getting at that point where I'm like, okay, you know, I've pretty much lived out most of my 20s. You know, obviously, I don't want to be limited on the traditional age that you have a kid, but I would like to think, you know, settle down soon, be able to start giving back to my family. But I just felt like I wasn't ready. I wasn't in that right place. And you know, everything happens for a reason, you know, because with my ex, I actually almost had a kid with her. So I was like almost getting ready for that, but I wasn't in the place in life to have that.
Yeah.
And so since things didn't work out, I just take it as it wasn't meant to be.
Yep.
And now I am, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A whole new journey about to start up.
I know. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the main journey, bro.
Yeah.
For me, man, it's been the most important thing I've ever gone through, and the most fulfilling thing.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, growing up, I've always tried to think, you know, like, what is my purpose in life, you know?
Yep.
And that's always like a question that's really got me if anybody's ever asked me that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what is my purpose? It's like, well, I mean, I would like to give the world something beautiful, and I would like to be able to give what I've learned to make that world beautiful to somebody else.
Yeah.
Whether before I made a family or I've, you know, got to the point of the family, it was like, okay, I'm going to do that with fighting. I'm going to help. Once I'm done fighting, I'm going to give back to other fighters. And in the same light with the family, I'm growing in my life, and now I'm going to be able to grow and give that to them to give back to themselves and other people, and just reciprocal energy. You know?
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to take that creativity and pass that on as well.
Exactly.
And develop your own parenting style.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's a big thing too, you know, it's how a lot of parents, they parent how they were parented.
Yeah.
You know? And that always doesn't work out, especially if you weren't parented the best, you know? I had a very loving family, but there was definitely a lot of things that could have been handled differently, you know?
For sure.
You know, habits that I definitely don't want to have in my family that I grew up in.
Yep.
You know? Toxic things and cycles that I don't want to have in mine. But I think that helps to be vigilant of that, you know, is having that past experience. You could either continue down that and that's all you know, or you can go against the grain.
Yes.
And I'm going to go against the grain all the time.
Let's go. Yeah, no, that's the beautiful part.
Yeah, man.
Is you have the choice and you have the experience, and you can take the way you were raised and pick, I liked that, I'm going to pass that down. I didn't like that. We're going to do it different this time.
Exactly.
And yeah, I'm not perfect, so I've definitely had my shortcomings, but I've been able to take the things that I liked from my childhood and pass those on to my son and make some adjustments. Say, hey, I wish I had that, or I didn't like that, and pass that on. And man, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun, bro. Like raising a human, man.
Especially when it's like a reflecting image of you in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's something I'm just so crazy. That's just so crazy to think about, you know? It's like not only are you giving back, but you're giving back to like a version of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, wow. It's a really beautiful thing.
It is, man. It is. I'm excited for you, bro.
Thank you, man. I'm excited too.
It's fun. And especially in the spot that you're at now, man, you're in a much better headspace than I was having your baby when I first had mine. So,
yeah,
dude, you're gonna be able to enjoy those little moments. Because I was 16, bro. It was chaos.
I can't imagine, man. I can't imagine me having a kid when I was 16.
Yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
I was. Yeah.
So I didn't get to appreciate those little things back then, like the baby stage and this and that. But
Yeah.
as I've grown, I've filled into that role more, and it's just only gotten better, bro.
Yeah.
So, man, I want more.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I haven't even officially had mine, and I'm already talking to her about others. She's like, "Can we just get through the first?" Like, I'm like, but like, and I feel like one of the bigger things in pressing that was like, I wanted a boy.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I'm super grateful to still have a kid.
Sure.
But that man in me wanted a boy to just have my little man.
Yeah.
So now, okay, I'm having a girl. I can still have my man. So let's talk about that.
Hey, I'm rooting for you, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man. I knew I was fighting a uphill battle though, because the girls run heavy in my family. So I was wanting a boy, but in the back of my head, it's like it's gonna be a girl. So it's like, all right. Yeah.
I saw recently there is some books and stuff that talk about how you can increase the odds. I don't know how true they are.
Yeah,
I haven't tested it, but
I'm all for it.
Yeah, it might be worth looking into.
Yeah, especially if I only have so many other chances.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, I saw Tim Kennedy, I think, talking about it, which I don't take him for a bullshitter. So
yeah.
Maybe there's something there. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, you never know until you try.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
First time for everything.
Yeah. So you've gone through a lot of different phases in life. How has your mental health journey been along this ride?
It's definitely been very rocky, for sure. I feel like, in any transition, in a lifestyle change is going to come with that extra pressure mentally and emotionally. It's easy to get overwhelmed, with making changes or wanting to see results so fast.
Yeah.
I tend to be impatient. So that's a big thing too in making these kind of transitions, is knowing that I can get through it and that I can see that light on the other side. And just knowing that whatever darkness that I may be going through, there's going to be that light. And something that's helped me to find that and think of that is martial arts. It's when I'm under pressure, when I feel like, dang, I can't get out of this move, or I'm just getting smashed, right? It's like, okay, you go to like a special place, and I think that translates to how I handle things that may be difficult for me in life for my mental health, right?
No doubt.
Something that I've always struggled with is death. So in losing somebody, I've always struggled very, very heavily with that. And I kind of felt like there was really no way to get out of that before, except to drown it, right? Drink it away, or just, sit in a corner. You just, be sad, depressed, or whatever. But it wasn't, it was only hurting me, more and more. So since I've found those healthy outlets, I find myself running to those outlets, but then over time, I also found myself having to run to those less and less. So I don't even need those outlets as much.
Nice.
I'm not having days where I'm feeling sad, and a big part of that was, what I was eating, what I was doing. I've realized once I made that shift, I wasn't really sad very much. I wasn't really getting in these like ruts very often,
Depressed.
Yeah, man. That life that I was putting into my body was shutting that darkness down, Yeah, and just having those outlets and having those like-minded people as well, like we spoke about earlier, your environment goes a long way, because if you're around people that just complain and they're depressed and they're going through their mental health problems, and you're just around them and they're not doing anything to get better, you're gonna soak that up.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You're a sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah man. What is that saying? It's like, birds of a feather flock together. There's so many of different ones, but it screams to me, And it's crazy because growing up, like, I always kind of strived for like that big group, growing up in high school, I used to throw parties and stuff. So I was like, this is cool. I like to have everybody together and stuff. But there wasn't much substance to it. There wasn't much actual real value, because once you take away the drugs and the alcohol, what's there, And I realized nothing really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you mentioned it earlier that, and I definitely went through this too, you have less friends. So I don't know about you, but when I first dove into this health journey, I had a lonely stage.
Oh, for sure.
Because I had to cut out these people from my life that were dragging me down.
Yep.
And I realized I don't have very many friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how did you deal with that lonely stage?
Honestly, I still deal with it. That's definitely something that I'm learning to navigate. But something that helps me to navigate that is finding those people like yourself, right? I can't even express how much it's meant to me to be able to have those relationships and meet those people, and build those relationships with those like-minded people. Because, I felt real lonely, especially when I was so excited about it and I'm talking about it to people and
they don't care.
Or they would even like almost like clown on me for it,
Yeah.
So it's very discouraging.
For sure.
It's very discouraging to be a health conscious person in this society that we live in.
Yeah.
And it is a very lonely journey, especially out here. And that's one of the many reasons why I want to move to somewhere that has that more,
It's in the culture.
Exactly, in the culture, like places like blue zones, because that's only going to help you to increase everything, knowing that it's okay to feel that loneliness because of what it was doing to you when you weren't lonely, right? Okay, if I'm lonely, but when I wasn't lonely, what was it doing?
Yeah. Like you said, there was no substance.
Right. Yeah, and I would rather...
it was like fake comfort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's how I feel. It's like the people and the gatherings that I have now, the conversations that I have now are just, they mean so much more than any of those other ones could have ever meant, And that helps me to not feel as lonely, because I may not have that quantity, but I have that quality.
Nice.
And that's the big thing for me. It's like, and when I do feel down on myself about, oh, dang, I see other people having these groups or people or whatever. And that's the thing too, right? You can't compare.
Yep.
Comparison is the thief of joy,
Yep.
So
it's hard not to compare nowadays with social media.
Oh, and that's, for sure. And and I'm trying, that's the shift that I've made as well, right? In my social media, I obviously have been on it forever and I was always on it, but now I am on it a lot, but I've shifted what's on it.
Nice.
Right? So now, what am I going to learn when I go on there? What am I going to see that's going to make me, okay,
Beautiful.
All right, let me look into that.
You're curating what you see.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not just doom scrolling and scrolling through things that don't matter, or like little comedy clips. I still have those, little lighten up the mood.
Yeah.
But that's not all it is. You know what I mean? It's something that's going to benefit me now.
That's a great point, man.
And not hinder me.
That's a great point, is training your algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you what you watch more and what you like.
And so fast. Anytime I kind of drift off and start watching something else, I see it starting to flood.
Oh,
and it's
wow.
like, okay, I definitely got to
dial it back,
keep it on what I'm trying to go on, because it's easy to want to fall into old habits too,
For sure.
you know? So just avoiding it is a better option.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I take you for a very spiritual man.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with your spirit and God?
That one's kind of been it's been a journey for sure. I do believe that there's a higher power. I wouldn't say that there's just one God, right? Or one religion. For me, I like to learn from all religions and see truth in all of them and similarities in all of them that most people probably don't. You know, most of the time when you speak with somebody that is in a certain religion, not all the time, but most of the time, it's like their religion is king.
Yeah.
You know,
Tribalism.
and I've never thought that. I've never felt that way. Even when I went to church growing up here and there, like I appreciate the energy and I feel the energy and I feel that something is real there. But I know that there's something real in others too, you know?
For sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, there's like a higher power, higher beings. What those are, I'm not entirely sure. But what I also think and what I also kind of reside in is that there's a God within all of us, you know? We're the gods and goddesses, you know? We are that. And there may be something above that, but we have that as well. You know, we have that light. We just need to find it. You know, we have that third eye, right? We have all of that. It's just the point of tapping into it, you know? So I feel like I was kind of searching religions and trying to maybe see what felt right for me for a long time. But now it's just searching within and just feeling like I am that, you know?
Yeah, you talked about tapping in, or you mentioned tapping into that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you tap in personally?
I am the creator of my life. You know, when people talk about religion, okay, God is the creator of life, right? He created all of this. No, I did. I'm creating that. Before me, it was my parents that created my life. But now I'm creating my life. I'm deciding what steps I'm taking. I'm deciding what's coming in, what's coming out. I'm deciding how my body is shifting. All of that. Nobody else, no outside power is doing that but you know? So, yeah, man, it's just trusting in the power that you have, you know? Something that my coach had told me yesterday, it's like, if you talk about being a champion or, you know, you're bragging about being a champion, you can be, but who's going to get you there? Only you are. You know what I mean? You have the power.
Yeah.
You know? And I've found myself when I was younger looking for that outside, like, oh, you know, praying and doing. I'm not trying to, you know, put down anybody that does, but it just wasn't working for me, you know? I felt like I wasn't getting anything.
For sure.
You know? And so that shift inside, it's like, okay, I am doing something and I'm creating it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, there's definitely some power to that. Realizing that you have the power to change your life.
Yeah.
And you saw it happen in real time with your intentional choices that took you from this path to this new path. Mm-hmm. That's very, very powerful. Now, I am a little more religious, but with what you said also resonates with me, because I went through a stage where I was very similar. I believed there was good in all religions. I still believe that. There's good in all religions. There's bad in all religions. There's good and bad in everything.
Yeah.
So there for a while, I was like, I don't feel like I should be attached to any one of these. And like you said, seek the wisdom from all of them.
Yeah.
What did bring me back to Christ, though, and I've talked about this before, was the more I dug down these rabbit holes, the deeper you go the darker it gets. And at the end, man, there was this clear enemy. And for me, I mean, Satan, you could call it whatever, evil. All these different avenues were pointing back to that. And then I was starting to look like, okay, so who is the enemy attacking the most? And that's where I saw it through the music, the Hollywood, all the media, social media, whatnot. They're always mocking Christ. Mm-hmm. So that's what led me back to Christ, and I wanted to be behind him because fighting the enemy, you know?
Right.
So that was my whole spiritual journey there, but I get what you're saying, man. And I think trying to relate it to a Christian person is they say, like, they're relying on God, but also God is within us. Mm-hmm. And like you say, that power comes from within.
Yeah.
Because God is within. God is all of us. And I'm just trying to relate it the way I view it. Mm-hmm. And I get you, man.
Yeah.
I get you. There's many different ways to view it, and I don't think there's one right and one wrong. It's complex.
Yeah.
It's complex.
And I think that's kind of one of the other factors in me just looking more within too, is just feeling so much pressure in what is the right religion, what religion is the best, you know, which one is right for me. And it's crazy how deep they all go, you know. And so that's why I just was like, you know what, I think it's not an outward journey of trying to do that. I just need to be looking more within.
That's beautiful.
But you know, of course, I respect anybody's beliefs in any other way. And I'm thankful to be able to have these conversations, because politics and religion, those are a couple of big ones, right? Yeah. That the conversation can go real left real fast, you know? And that's something that I've definitely experienced. And if I've ever spoken about there not being one God, or just anything against a certain religion, there's always going to be that person that's going to be real hard on you against it. For sure. Know? And I'm like, we can all have our own beliefs, our own whatever, you know, that fulfills us. That's you, you know what I mean? Yeah. And if that makes you happy, then I respect that, and that's good for you.
No doubt.
You know?
Yeah, it gets to a point where it's more than an identity, and it's starting to control your emotions, which I'd get that to an extent, you know? It's like, if I feel passionately about something, I really believe it, and you're saying that's wrong, it's like, what do you mean it's wrong? This is everything I believe in.
Yes.
It's right.
See, and that's one of my bigger struggles too. It's like, I feel like I've always had a kind of a problem with authority and being told what to do. So that's another thing with religions that I never really agreed with.
Gotcha.
Right? In certain religions, there's like almost like rules or things that you shouldn't do, right? I'm like, says who? Why?
Yeah.
You know, I'm always going to question why that is, and try to go down that path to figure out why was it even a question, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that. And tapping into, I do think there's power tapping into ancient scripture, like the Bible or any of them.
Yeah.
Because this is compiled wisdom over thousands of years from all these sorts of people. And like the Bible, for example, there's all these crazy cross references that don't make sense unless there was some divine intervention. And yes, there might be rules. You can see them as rules, or you can see them as guidance, where I'm looking in there and trying to learn from it and treat it as a suggestion.
Right.
Instead of a rule.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, like maybe, and then try it.
Yeah.
Experiment. See, maybe this helps, maybe it doesn't.
Right.
But I do think there's some value there.
Sure.
The ancient wisdom, being able to tap into that and learn from it and apply it. And I've seen it benefit my life in many circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're doing what you want to do in life, right? If you like your kid, right?
Yeah.
You want him to take in your wisdom. You're taking in somebody else's wisdom. It's like that's what life is all about, right? Learning and giving, and learning and giving is just that reciprocal. Whether it's you learning from this person.
Yeah.
There's always something to learn. You know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Unlimited amount of
Unlimited. Yeah, for sure.
But picking what you're learning,
Mm-hmm.
that there's some power to that.
Yep.
And the intention behind it. I think that's what matters. Is like, okay, what do I want to learn? Why? And hey, from there, it's in your power.
Right.
It's within you.
Yeah. The intention. That's something big that I felt like I never really even had in my vocabulary. Like I knew the word, I knew what it meant, but it's not something I really spoke into or really had. And it's something that you really need, because then, if not, then you're just going through the motions.
Yep.
If you set intentions for what you're doing, it's going to be that much more beneficial. It's going to come back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
You know?
So otherwise you're just taking what life gives you and going with the wind, like just floating out at sea.
Yeah, like, it's not very fulfilling.
Yeah. But you got an intention. It's like, hey, we're trying to get here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We got to steer the ship.
Yep. How are we going to get there? What are we going to do to get there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Got a few closing questions and wrap this thing up.
All right.
If you could go back and give 18-year-old Jude some advice, what would you say?
Yeah, just find your purpose. I feel like if I really had that that mindset or that like goal at that point in my life when I really like cared, or if I really cared, then I could have been so much farther in my journey than just, like you said, just going through the motions like I felt like I was at 18, fresh out of high school, partying, whatever. I didn't care. So I think would just be to kind of do that, to care more.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You read any books?
I read sometimes,
Okay.
not as much as I would like to. But if I do read, it's just like nonfiction, it's something I'm going to learn from. So I just got an apothecary book and like an encyclopedia for herbs. So just so I can, learn more. That's kind of been because I never was a big reader, especially in like fiction, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'll just watch a movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like to learn with what I'm reading.
Yeah.
So, man, it's just pretty much all the books that I've been reading and I've been collecting is just to continue the path that I'm doing.
Awesome.
Food, medicine, movement.
You ever try audiobooks?
I have a little bit, not too much. Not too much, but I have a little bit. And I've actually even thought about kind of doing that on my own. I've done like little clips, like read and then like hear it back of my own voice.
Okay.
And I almost kind of felt like that had some value to it.
Oh, interesting.
And I kind of
like you reading the book and then re-listening to yourself.
Yeah,
read
so
it?
like I'll read it out loud, I'll record it, and then I'll listen back to it.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, it also helped me to kind of like my voice a little better.
Yeah, okay.
When, I kind of had a love-hate relationship with my voice.
Yeah.
So just something small that
cool.
also helped with that. But yeah, I feel like that's probably, I've listened to myself read more than I've heard audiobooks read.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just like them because I can listen while I'm driving or something.
Yeah. See, for me, I've with that, it's like I can't concentrate enough on it. Same thing
That's
with like
true.
podcasts. Like if I'm going to watch a podcast, I'm going to have my time to it.
That's true.
Yeah,
'Cause you
if-
can't give it your all if you're doing something else.
Yeah, especially because my mind's usually racing so much. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm just going to listen to music, and that helps me to just vibe out with the music and figure out whatever else I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like with the audiobooks or the podcast or something, like I have to be chilling.
Gotcha.
You
You got 3 favorite books?
Probably Probably not off the top of my head, man. I mean, just
No worries.
just the ones that I have been getting, just books on herbs and medicine, making my own medicine. That's something I'm trying to get more into as well.
Making your own medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, like tinctures and
that's sweet
stuff like that, man.
Yeah, I've been exploring or experimenting with potions.
Yeah,
So
man.
Mixing herbs and teas and for the benefits that they provide.
Yeah. Like the apothecary book that I got actually is kind of like one of the table of contents pretty much is just pictures of potions, or like potion bottles, but on each of them is different ailments or conditions that you deal with, and then you go to that page and then it has like a concoction that you can make to treat that.
Sweet.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. Yeah, because these prescriptions and stuff you get from the doctor, man.
Yeah, no.
They ain't it.
No, it's not. It's not. No. I'm only going to go to a doctor if I need surgery or like I'm dying or something. But medicine and everything else, like that's only going to hurt you.
Yeah.
It's only going to hurt you.
Exactly. A Band-Aid to treat the symptoms, but never address the root cause.
Yeah.
And often lead to worse side effects.
Yeah. Well, yeah. One of the craziest things that I think is with like the advertisements that you do see, like one of the most common is like, oh yeah, here, take this antidepressant. One of the side effects is suicidal thoughts. It's like, isn't that what you're trying to avoid? Like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Or like a constipation medication, side effect, maybe death. Like, whoa. Like, I'm not going to take that risk. I'm good.
For sure. Something I wanted to talk to you about was your homemade deodorant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, another thing is controlling the ingredients,
Why is that important?
Because you know what it is, right? Just like reading that label.
But it's just deodorant.
But your body soaks it up, right? So your skin, it's an organ. It's going to soak up whatever you put into it, right? So lotion, it's going to affect you a certain way, right? That's why I also make my own moisturizer. The deodorant, you make your own deodorant so you know what ingredients are going in it. And it's going to be cheaper too. Because if you can get big, like bulk ingredients, it's usually just a few ingredients, it depends on the person. Baking soda can be irritable for some people's skin, but baking soda, coconut oil, shea butter, and some essential oils. Quick, done, boom. You know what I mean?
That's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
That's your deodorant recipe right there?
Pretty much.
Which essential oils?
I usually use tea tree oil and lavender.
Nice.
Yeah, I usually like to mix those two.
Nice.
And then pretty much the same thing with, my toothpaste, my moisturizer. It's just a few ingredients. What I know that is a pure ingredient, an organic ingredient. And that's that, man,
Yeah.
You feel better, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And it's a cool experience to be able to make your own products too. It's something I never really thought I'd be that into, you know what I mean? But like whenever I first made my first batch of deodorant, my first batch of toothpaste, it's like, wow, like I did this, you know what I mean? And it's gonna keep giving back to me, and in a good way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And it feels better when you're putting it on.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's like, this isn't hurting, this is helping me. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The toothpaste one, dude. I just started making my own, and I love it, dude.
Yeah.
It feels better. That bitter taste you'd get after brushing your teeth? I don't get that anymore.
Yeah, man.
It's like after I brush my teeth, it's like I don't want to drink water for a while because it burns and tastes bad, and like orange juice, like no way.
God.
But now, bro, I can brush my teeth right after, take a big old chug. It feels great. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, man. You feel the difference for sure. And and then you having that hand in actually creating that, it's that much more satisfying. And you can experiment with different recipes too, which is so cool, different essential oils or different ratios of things, you know, and so it's a process.
Yeah, you can adjust the consistency, the scent,
yeah,
the
like
flavor.
At first I was just straight stirring it with the spoon, and now I actually get like one of the electric like whiskers or something, and it gets it such a nice consistency.
Okay.
Just something small, it's things that you learn as you go.
So how do you apply your deodorant?
Just my hand, honestly. Me personally, I just dip
So
my
you got
finger
it in like
it,
a
wash
jar?
my hand. Yeah, just a jar. wash my hand afterwards. It's pretty much it. At first, I was kind of like just using like a stick.
Okay.
But
Nice.
it just felt weird,
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, these work, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be greasy after, but just wash your hands. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah, man.
Sweet. I wanted to hit that one earlier when we were talking about the health stuff, but we got we got sidetracked on so many other things. But it was awesome talking with you, man. It was a great conversation, bro.
Yes, thank you.
And yeah, we'll definitely be staying in touch and sharing some recipes and whatnot. And
yes, sir.
growing on this journey together.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
for coming on, bro. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you for having me.